consumed. Majority of the waste are actually incinerated, which is economically unwise and environmentally unsound, because in reality, a lot of these byproducts contains numerous chemicals and materials that can be reclaimed and valorized. So for instance, in our process, we show that as much as 70% of the collagen can actually be recovered from bullfrog skin discard. And also the scales from snakehead fish can be readily transformed into hydroxyapatite. Both materials are needed to maintain good bone health. Collagen, for instance, is an important biomaterial which can provide basic physical support for bone cells to attach and grow. And on the other hand, hydroxyapatite is a mineral commonly found in bone, which serves as an important source of calcium and phosphate ions to promote bone formation. So when you combine these two materials together, both components can act synergistically to repair bone defects.
So it's an exciting development in terms of this creation of this biomaterial. How does it actually compare with using actual tissues, though, especially in terms of cost as well as the quality of the results?
Yeah. So you're actually right. The current gold standard to repair bone defects is to use autologous bone graft. So this means that you need to source the bone material from the patients themselves. The patient-derived bone materials are self-evidently biocompatible and effective to promote bone growth. Now, the problem is that extraction of bone tissue is an expensive and painful process since surgery is involved. Besides, this approach may not be a viable option if the defect site requires large amount of bone. Comparatively, the use of our waste to resource bone graft is a promising alternative. Based on our lab experiments, we showed that the bone precursor cells were not only able to attach, but also grow and mature into bone cells. And because our approach does not require the harvesting of bone materials from the patient, the overall cost should be significantly lowered.
And is the new material suitable for everyone? Are there specific groups who might not be able to use it?
Yeah, so this is a very good question. In fact, we are actually at the early stages of our research, and we have yet to perform risk stratification assessment in patients. However, since the materials are reclaimed from edible sources, we believe that the materials should be safe and amenable for patients of diverse backgrounds.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us this evening, Assistant Professor Dalton Tay from the NTU School of Materials Science and Engineering. Now, still to come. Eyes in the sky watching over reservoirs in Singapore. And tales of true grit to inspire others. We'll speak with recipients of this year's Inspirational Patient and Caregiver Awards next.
Should you use your CPF for property investment? Come to the Singapore Property Show 2021 to learn more from leading property market experts in 40 informative webinars. Our top flight speakers will be covering a wide range of topics to help you make a most informed decision. How do you make the most of your CPF for property investment? Are ECs still the golden goose? Is owning multiple properties only for the wealthy? What kind of property is in demand by district? Get these answers and more. Plus, stand to win $8,000 worth of cash prizes. Join us at our webinars this weekend on 29th and 30th May for essential property investment advice. What are you waiting for? Visit sps2021.99.co to register now. The Singapore Property Show 2021 is proudly organized by MediaCorp and our esteemed partners.
Bearing the brunt of worsening global warming.
As we see the whole landscape changing, it is really impacting our way of life.
Can we reduce our carbon footprint to fight climate change?
We're doing our bit to not rely so much on the coal-fired power stations to power what we do in our house.
Are the steps we're taking really enough? CNA correspondent fighting climate change. Friday on CNA.
He's just looking at us with his eyes wide open. Oh, it's so cute.
I'm Shushan, and in this series, I'll be tracking into hidden parts of Singapore.
Oh my god, treacherous!
To find out what's being done to save our biodiversity.
Every animal plays a significant role.
And if we're running out of time.
It seems that there is an uptrend in number of roadkills.
It's in our nature. Video on demand on CNA.Asia.
Have fun while breaking a sweat on your next visit to Gangnam. Enjoy the weightlessness of bungee fitness, or learn the health benefits of pole dancing. So don't miss the opportunity to feel the burn with the latest workout trends in Korea. Gangnam Insiders Picks, Sunday on CNA. This program is brought to you by the Gangnam-gu office.
So little land with so many mouths to feed.
Land matters. The future is going to be really challenging.
Dan akhirnya dibuang seperti ini dengan mubazir sangat disayangkan sekali. Ini adalah solusinya.
We can turn Singapore into a protein powerhouse overnight, but people don't understand what we're doing.
Women farmers are the solution for the food security problem.
Race to Feed the World, Monday on CNA.
Updating business now. The cost of food is at its highest level since 2014. Among the big movers, global beef prices, which have risen 19% in the first 4 months of this year. The bad news is red meat is set to get even more expensive. Here's why you're paying more for your steak. Increasing demand from China as more move away from a pork-based diet. There's limited cattle supplies in some countries, plus a shortage of slaughterhouse workers due to the pandemic. And the cost of feed is rising. Now, Brazil, Australia, the US, India, and Argentina are the top beef exporters. And the biggest importers, well, with the exception of the US, they're all Asian countries. Last week, Argentina, the number 2 supplier to China after Brazil, halted beef exports for a month as it tries to contain domestic meat prices. China has also cut some of its beef imports from Australia as relations deteriorate. The effects of Argentina's suspension have trickled down to other markets. Singapore, which gets its supply from the South American country, has put in big orders for Australian beef. Higher food prices play a key role in lifting Singapore's April core inflation to 0.6%. Foreign banks operating in China will soon be able to borrow more from overseas. And this could help banks like HSBC and JP Chase with limited access to deposits expand in China. Now, under the new regulation starting this week, the leverage ratio for such offshore funding has been raised to 2. That's more than double the previous ratio of 0.8. Qualified commercial banks will also be given an initial quota of $1.5 billion. China is a huge draw for the world's biggest banks, with billions of profits on the line from investment banking to wealth management. Chinese authorities have been relaxing rules for foreign institutions as the country continues to open up its financial sector. Now, some cities in China's southern province of Guangdong are asking factories to curb the use of electricity. A high industry use and hot weather are putting a strain on the power grid. Guangdong is a major manufacturing hub. Its electricity use in April jumped by more than 20% from COVID-hit levels last year. Higher temperatures, they're also boosting demand for air conditioning. Local power companies in some cities, including Guangzhou, have reportedly urged factories to halt production during peak hours or even shut for 2 to 3 days each week. Manufacturers in China are already being forced to lower output due to recent hikes in prices of raw material prices, including steel and aluminum. The latest data shows profits at China's industrial firms grew at a much slower pace last month compared with March. That's due to high commodity prices and weaker performance in the consumer goods sector. Hyundai Motor Group is making a big push towards electric vehicles. It's said to be halving the number of combustion engine models in its lineup to free up resources to invest in EVs. Like its rivals, Hyundai is accelerating its push towards eco-friendly vehicles. It aims to gradually expand battery EV offerings in key markets, including the US, Europe, and China. The goal is full electrification by 2040. Thai Airways has started selling direct flights from 4 European cities ahead of Phuket's planned quarantine-free reopening in July. Initial demand is expected to be soft